Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another Supatease video. And man, Arms Warrior is doing surprisingly well considering its lack of defense at the moment. And in today's video, I wanted to give this specialization some coverage, having seen how much it can dominate in PvP so that you can know what exactly is going on with it. If you want to check it out, how you can counteract it and try and combat it, because it's likely going to be an increasingly popular specialization here in PvP, because we all know about the Shadow Priests, we know about the Demon Hunters, we know about the Death Knights, we all know about those, but the Arms Warrior is absolutely killing it at the moment. So one thing you do want to know with an Arms Warrior is that they are squishy. You're going to want to keep some of your major heal over time effects on that target. You can see that I've done that in this position with Overgrowth and Adaptive Swarm, immediately fully hotting the Warrior to let them just push in and be aggressive. And that's the main thing you're going to want to do to support an Arms Warrior, is using your biggest heals on them to make sure that they can play aggressive. I avoid crowd control. I shadow meld and root the Demon Hunter behind the pillar, trying to escape from their crowd control. And as an Arms Warrior, you're going to want to be using your Die by the Sword pretty early in most matches, usually when your healer is crowd controlled while enemies are pressing offensive cooldowns. This is the best time to use your personal defensives regardless, but if you're not, then the healer should use theirs, as I have in this position with Iron Bark and Cenarian Ward, almost dying through that to the Hunt. Yeah, I don't know how that ability manages to still hit for such a high amount considering how many times it's been nerfed, but regardless of that massive hit of damage, we are going to continue to fight and battle back. All of our hots have been purged away by the fire breath of the Preservation Evoker, so we're looking to refresh those as soon as possible. Both my teammates are pretty vulnerable right now, but we go for a Cyclone, we interrupt the Emerald Communion and try and prevent some of its recovery. Then we get caught into an Imprison, but because we've got our Adaptive Swarm up, we can go for a Cenarian Ward Overgrowth and refresh those hots to get a big long row of heal over time effects to keep that warrior trucking, to keep them aggressive, refreshing the life bloom on ourselves to make sure that the hots on every other target is healing more, and we can Cyclone this Demon Hunter behind the pillar out of the stun, positioning us into a great spot to chase down the Shadow Priest. And that's kind of one of the best things about the Arms Warrior, is that it's actually spectacular at killing the best classes in the game, like a Shadow Priest. We're cutting this one down, we get life swap, then we just do a little Supatease swap over to the healer and dunk them here in round number 1. And that's got to be the main reason why Arms Warrior is just so great at the moment, is because it can stun burst down Demon Hunters and exploit the weakness of that class, and it can just truck down Shadow Priests, cutting down their self-healing with Sharpened Blade and doing massive burst damage with massive mortal strikes. I have to say that like Arms Warrior is really hitting the nail on the head as far as fantasy is concerned with the Arms Warrior and what you would really want to expect with it. Big, chunky numbers, burst damage, while still being squishy. And honestly, maybe now, as we see potentially more changes in the future, we'll see more self-healing addressed so that other classes aren't in a position where they're just invincible, and Arms Warrior is, not as competitive just because it's squishy, because it's not healing itself as much as a healer. But you can see in this position, I'm expecting a Demon Hunter and a Death Knight to target down my Shadow Priest. So I've got my big heal over time effects on the Shadow Priest. We'll commit our Nature's Swiftness to the Warrior, splitting our heal over time effect, because they're likely going to get cleaved standing next to a Demon Hunter and a Death Knight. We're going to go into our tree form, try and bounce away from the Death Grip as soon as possible while mashing our Regrowth keybind as we move. We'll Barkskin while we're stunned and we're caught in the cleave. Here comes the Hunt. We're going to need to get some big heals here. Fair trade by the Shadow Priest to use Dispersion on the Hunt. I think more players should be doing this when they see that spell being casted, because this spell can just absolutely take you out. We get caught in a sleepwalk, but it's already on diminishing return, so we're going to be a-okay. We're just going to continue mashing out our Regrowth monster heals, trying to keep our team as healthy and aggressive as possible. You never want to have your warrior leaping away from the fight, going into D stance. You want to be just mashing out as much heal over time effects as you can. We're going to root the Demon Hunter as they move over to crowd control us. They can't get back to the target immediately, but still cutting down the Shadow Priest, getting pretty close to where I think a life swap is going to be necessary. Here, swapping a Resto Druid is a really good idea, because I have automatic Frenzied Regen that will heal me up, and then I can use Tranquility to immune myself if they do manage to commit to me as a prolonged target. I then immediately want to reposition away. I've got full hots on the Shadow Priest, so we'll Cenarian Ward the Warrior, split our heal over time effects so that both targets are healthy and able to stay in the fight. And we've got pretty much every defensive. So the next time our big cooldowns come up from the Arms Warrior, this is the Avatar, the Spear of Bastion, these big crit moments, we're likely going to be able to get pretty far ahead in this position. Here's the Sharpened Blade. That gets Nether Walk. Just an immediate response is required for this aggression from the Arms Warrior specialization. Super fun spec. I'm really regretting gearing for Fury. I feel like I'm going to have to get my Warrior going back arms. Look at that damage, just chunking down the Demon Hunter through darkness and Emerald Communion. immune in that position. We're going to Cyclone the Demon Hunter at low HP, stopping him from recovering from all those heals and defense. We get a full fear onto the healer. We'll root up the Demon Hunter, go into bear form so he can't escape to root him again, and toss out as much damage as we can during this time with the sharpened blade, with a Storm Bolt behind the pillar and a Psy Fiend. This guy is going to have a tough time surviving, but he is a Demon Hunter. Is he going to make it out alive? A Spirit Bloom, Dream Projection, blurs at 4%, somehow still stays alive. He's very lucky that he's a Demon Hunter here. I see the Hunt being casted, trying to get ready for that. I've got Life Bloom up on the Shadow Priest, who is the main focus of it. We've still got Tree Form now off of cooldown, so we can bounce into that if we need to. We're going to Bear Form root the Demon Hunter into a bash, set him up for a slam dunk, sharpened blade. We stun the healer and immediately can cut down the Demon Hunter. And this is what I love about the Arms Warriors. It's just like a steamroller. You're just always pushing in. It's just always about offense and running down the target, trying to keep them as healthy as possible. Really fun experience. And if you're getting the support that you need from your healer, like, you are going to have a phenomenal time on this specialization. It's one that you definitely need to be checking out. It was low ranked throughout the beta because it was in a position that was pretty atrocious, but it has been getting buffed and buffed and buffed, and other classes have been getting nerfed, but those classes still seemingly at the top as well. But Arms Warrior is super fun at the moment. I'm gonna have to get some crit gear, maybe hope that my vault loots me some crit items to re-roll, because I want to be getting these insane mortal strikes. And now unfortunately the Warriors on the other team, and we're gonna see how difficult this is to heal, so I'm gonna use Thorns to try and deflect them from attacking the Shadow Priest. They seemingly don't care, so I'm gonna Iron Bark, will Shadow Meld the Sleepwalk, get a little Nature Swiftness, Tranquility Bubble to Sleepwalk to immune it, and try our hardest to heal through this damage with Tree Form, just mashing out Regrowth every global. We get feared. We can't sit that. Our Death Knight is going to be dying anytime soon, so we got to keep getting our heals going. Life Bloom Refresh, try and get it up to 3 stacks here. We get Storm Bolted, but we've got basically no real big heals here. It's very dangerous. We try and lob in a Moonfire, but there's that Sharpened Blade, reducing my heals for 3 more seconds on the Death Knight, and with that ticking away, we may not be able to recover. Now my Tree Form is over, and I'm thinking like, oh god, how am I going to do this? My Hots gets purged from the Fire Breath. I get put into a Sleepwalk. My team is still just getting cut down. Now I got no Hots, no way to heal, no instant recovery. Tossing out the Adaptive Storm, trying to root the Warrior, just Blade Storms out of it and just cuts down the Death Knight in what was probably less than a minute. It was an absolute nightmare. I felt bad. I felt bad for the Warrior in this lobby, because by the end of it, I think somebody had left. I don't remember who it was exactly. I think it was one of the DPS, because me and the healer were going pretty even in this lobby, but like, it was crazy. I was not expecting Arms Warrior to be able to achieve this. Like, he was going to go 6-0 in a 2700 rated lobby. Like, as much as we want to talk about the defense of Arms Warrior being weak, like, that is crazy to do on any specialization. Like, even a Demon Hunter or a Shadow Priest to go 6-0 in such a high rated lobby. So definitely a spec that's worth checking out if you've been wondering how Arms Warrior is doing or want to go back to it. Like, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a monster here with the right support. So in this position, I'm expecting the Death Knight to be a target. They're not going to blur. They're not going to dodge physical attacks. So that's why I've got my Iron Bark Cenarian Ward, massive Hots onto the Death Knight, Nature Swiftness, bouncing them back into the fight, and immediately jumping into Tree Form, because look, they swap targets for 1 second, just boom, down to 10% onto the Demon Hunter. Tree Form bounces him back up into the fight as soon as possible, keeping Life Bloom on ourselves to amplify our Hots onto every other target of our team, and trying to keep them as aggressive. Sleepwalk, we're going to Tranquility Shield immune so we don't get crowd controlled here with how much pressure is coming out of the initial gates, and then just try and maintain our Hots, but those are getting stripped away from that Fire Breath Purge and the Shadow Priest. Really tough to stay up as a Resto Druid in this position. There's that Sharpened Blade. Look at the value. The Demon Hunter just down at half health, trying to recover, get a Soul to Force, Wild Growth, Cleave Healing onto the Death Knight, to get a Cyclone onto the Warrior, just trying to pause the damage and think, okay, I got a Cyclone. Maybe this is my chance to be able to pull out a win here for my team, because I've stopped some of the damage. We'll Cyclone the Shadow Priest now. We get a stun onto the healer. We're slowing down their pressure, slowing down their heals. Like, this is feeling like maybe we can do it. Maybe we can pull this off. But the Arms Warrior just keeps trucking, gets a Sharpened Blade, leaps over. I root him on his leap, trying to prevent him from reconnecting, but a Psy Fiend's down with Sharpened Blade. We charge in while we're silenced. We bash the Warrior. We're doing everything we can, but Arms Warriors do not care. They do not care. They are going to take you out no matter what. They are going to be running you down no matter how much you put into this, how much effort you want to try to deny their advance is just going to be unpreventable. But the specialization looks like an absolute blast. I just wanted to give you a video, a little bit of coverage of the specialization and my thoughts of it right now. Again, so if you were interested in checking it out, I think now would be the time. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one.